Well, folks, the honeymoon period for Razor in charge of the All Blacks is most certainly already over. Game number 4 in charge, home game against the Pumas in Wellington. And it's the Pumas who come away with a 38 points to 30 win. All Blacks don't even get a losing bonus point. Not a great start to the Rugby Championship to the All Blacks campaign, but man, what a performance from the Pumas. Unbelievable stuff. Can we stop playing games in Wellington? Our record there is atrocious, and we didn't even sell the bloody ground out. If that doesn't spark ticket sales up here in Auckland for game number 2, I don't know what will, because the All Blacks will be a wounded beast after that one. My goodness, we were under a lot of pressure. Charge down kicks, and the Argentinians had like a really slick line-out move. The All Blacks attack was just getting nowhere fast. It was uncharacteristic of what we're used to seeing from the All Blacks. But man, how good were the Argentinians? So slick, so confident, and just ruthless on attack. Really, really pleasing for them. But as Augustine Creevy just said after the game, they also need to do it 2 weeks in a row. Because the last time they beat the All Blacks on New Zealand soil, they got a hiding in the next week. So this makes game 2 very, very, very spicy. We'll go through some key events and some stats. You guys can let us know your thoughts on this one. But wow, I am very, very keen to see how, if at all, the New Zealand media, rugby media, kind of changes their approach with Razor. Because if this had been Fozzie, you can bet they would have been all over him. Whereas with Razor, it's all been very buddy-buddy thus far. So there were so many mistakes in this game. If this had been Fozzie, he would have been crucified. Lot of pressure early from the Argentinians. To be fair, they were unlucky not to go ahead. They were still 0-0 with the All Blacks early on. The only thing that was going wrong for them was the penalty count. Their discipline, in particular in the first half, was bad. They got into double-figure penalties conceded at halftime. But once they sorted it out, things got a lot better for them, funnily enough. The All Blacks ended up getting the first points of the game with a penalty, 3 points to 0, and then a hell of a try. Like, it's not all doom and gloom. The All Blacks can still score some bloody nice tries. The D-Mac chip and chase and gather to Bodie. Bodie chips it through for Talea, but the wicked bounce of the ball means debutant starting, Locke, he's played a game from the bench before, but in his first start, Sam Derry, who I thought had a pretty good game, good line-out, good solid work rate, he gets a try to make it 10-0 to the All Blacks. Despite a few empty seats in Wellington, she's all looking pretty hunky-dory for the All Blacks. ALB, who's getting a start at 13, has a nice line break from centre when the All Blacks are under a bit of pressure. Dalton Papali'i wins a breakdown penalty on our own line. So it's all looking not too bad. But then there's a few key moments, man. Turnover ball, and this is what I mean about the Pumas guys being ruthless. Like, it only took, you think of this from the All Blacks, like turnover ball, they're going to punish you. That's kind of what it's been like over the last decade or more. That's been one of the All Blacks' kind of biggest strengths, but it was the Pumas who did it right to the All Blacks. Molina with the strip and the tackle. They get the ball wide. Matera hangs onto the ball just long enough to put Chocobates into a hell of a gap, and then Sinti is able to finish it off in the corner. Missed conversion, but 10 points to 5. Suddenly we are back to being game on. And this game had a really kind of tit-for-tat feeling about it, because it wasn't that common that one side would kind of go through multiple scoring sets themselves. It was often you score, I score, you score, I score. Case in point, the All Blacks got a penalty to follow up to make it 13 points to 5. The Argentinians got one back to make it 13 points to 8. New Zealand, though, got their second try of the game when they had multiple phases through the forwards. De Groot had a big carry, goes close. Wide ball to D-Mac, who puts the cutout pass through for ALB, who's looking like he's justifying that choice at centre with the kind of wee spinorama as he goes over the line to make it 20 points to 8. And again, 20 points to 8 is looking pretty hunky-dory. The All Blacks are looking to kind of break this Wellington hoodoo, which they've got. But no, the tit-for-tat continues, because when Sevu Reece taps back a high ball, it's an Argentinian who pounces on it, Mateo Carreras, and that guy's got footwork. He is able to make D-Mac, Damien McKenzie, look absolutely silly. He's hitting the ball full pace, shimmy in, shimmy out, and then he's just leaves him for dead. You can't fault D-Mac for that one, man. Like, that was, he would have been a hell of a defensive player if he'd been able to stop Mateo Carreras. So he's been a great finisher as long as I've been watching him play Mateo Carreras, and he shows it here. Now we're at 20 points to 15. Really big time game on as we go into the halftime sheds. Like, an interesting number that I was looking at was just the number of All Blacks carries, 67, to number of run meters, 162. Not a very good return on investment. Like, All Blacks attack tends to be cutting over the advantage line into space. Not so. The Pumas' defense was looking relatively comfortable. The Pumas have got more clean breaks than the All Blacks in that first half, 5-4. The Pumas have had 300 run meters from only 53 carries. So they've been looking the sharper of the two sides. It's just the penalty count, 10-4 at halftime, which is costing the Pumas. The Pumas have had slightly more territory. The All Blacks have had to kick it a little bit more. The one area that the All Blacks have actually looked all right is the line-out. The line-out's been fine. It's been kind of an area of weakness going into the Rugby Championship. Like, it's looked a little bit sketchy at times, but it's been looking fine in the first half. But speaking of lineouts, the Argentinians pulled off a hell of a lineout at the start of the second half. It was a great little kind of... They had a jumper go at the back with the lifters, but they didn't throw it to him. They threw it to the front man, Molina, who's a bit of a big unit himself. Only in his fourth test, I might add. He only got his debut last month. And they were able to get it to him without a jump, and they just maul him over. It's a great play. 22 points to 20. The Argentinians are now in front. All Blacks retake the lead with a penalty, 23-22. It's a 45-meter kick, so not too bad. And then one of the most bizarre moments in the game is Ethan Blackadder not getting a yellow card. Like, just the wording of Angus Gardner goes against everything that I've recently seen referees decide. Like, whether it's right or wrong, it just goes against the way referees look at shoulder to head contact. Usually, if you've got an upright tackler who gets his shoulder on the ball carrier's head, he gets in trouble. Whereas Angus Gardner initially was just like, it looks like he's carried his head into his shoulder. He's on the receiving end of it. He's just passive. That doesn't usually matter, but apparently Angus Gardner thinks of that one differently. I don't know. It's just weird. Very weird. It ends up being a penalty. Like, the ARs and the TMO talk Angus Gardner into giving it a penalty. But like I say, it's just bizarre that the way shoulder to the head, he was almost blaming the ball carrier, which just doesn't happen. Doesn't happen. But anyway, don't want to go on about the ref. 25-23, the Pumas slot a penalty to go back in front. And then Talia gets a try. He finally gets some ball. He ends up with like 8 carries, which is not a small amount, but it would have been nice to see Mark Talia get a bit more ball in this game, because when he does get the ball, he can get over the advantage line, which is something the All Blacks struggled with in this one. But yeah, Blackadder's got a few carries in the build-up. D-Mac some nice hands. Talia's able to go over. He's a bit of a snake, as someone said in the live stream chat. He's a hard man to bring down. 30 points to 25. All Blacks are in front. We're looking kind of hunky-dory again. Final 20 is when the All Blacks pull away from it. Final 20 under Razor thus far. The All Blacks haven't conceded any points. We're 5 points ahead. And we finally get a first scrum of the game on like the hour mark. We haven't had any scrums in this game. It's been quite bizarre in that regard. But the All Blacks get denied a try from a forward pass, which was clearly forward. And then we get the Argentinians coming back into the game. And you got to say, the All Blacks, for the try which Creevy gets, and how good was Creevy when he comes on, scores a try, wins a key turnover. Oh, it's a pretty bad one for the All Blacks to concede. Not one, but 2 horrendously loose passes to nobody, each going back like 20 meters. So the All Blacks end up in their own goal area, tackled, and then it's a 5-meter scrum to the Pumas. Like, that's an absolute head in your hands moment. Like, imagine if Ian Foster was the coach of the team that did that. That's what I'm saying. He's going to be getting grilled about it. What they were doing, I don't know. But 5-meter scrum, couple of phases. Augustine Creevy, the 39-year-old who's still going, who played in the game 12 years ago at Wellington, where it was a New Zealand victory. Him and Bodie were the only guys playing that one. He's back, and he burrows over for a try. 35 points to 30. Now the All Blacks need a converted try to get back in front. What can they do when they have a line out with a few minutes to go? They just don't jump, apparently. It's 6s and 7s. Did not seem like a well-coached side. What can I say? It's the first game, but like, these are just basic errors. Basic errors. I don't know what was going on. Like, as good as the All Blacks numbers were in the first half of the lineup, that's a shocker. They throw it straight to the Argentinians. They get advantage up for a drop goal, miss it, get a penalty, slot the bloody thing. 38-30. All Blacks got to score twice in like 2 minutes. Not going to happen. Argentinian defense has been solid all game. They're not conceded nothing. So, yeah, Argentina walk away with a deserved victory in Wellington. As I said, All Blacks don't even get a bonus point. Like, man, they made some mistakes. They got to be better in game 2. Run meters 295, 395 to Argentina. And Argentina did it with fewer carries, 107 to 127. So the Argentinians are at 3.8 run meters a carry. I don't mean to throw too many stats at you, but I love the stats. If you're getting anywhere near the magic 4 meters a carry, you're doing good. You're getting forward over the advantage line. All Blacks are at 2.3, so not very good in terms of their ability to get over the advantage line, ability to get forward. Real basic stuff, just not there. Clean breaks finishes 6-5 in favor of the All Blacks, so that was an improvement in terms of their first half numbers being behind the Pumas, but it's still pretty low in terms of only getting 2 clean breaks in the entire second half. Turnovers won 7-5 to the Pumas, including that magic one from Krivy. Penalties conceded finishes 12-13, so the Pumas conceded 1 more. But remember, they were at 10 at halftime, so only 3 in the second half, whereas the All Blacks were only at 4 at halftime, so conceded a bunch in the second half. Possession finishes 55-45 to the All Blacks. Territory 51-49 to the All Blacks, so pretty even in the scheme of things. Individuals, Carreras 62 meters. That's Mateo. Crema has 18 tackles. He's a big unit. Matera really busy, 14 carries from the captain. Savia 51 meters and 16 carries as well, so he was also really busy. Talia beat 6 defenders from his 8 carries. Might have been nice to see him, have a bit more ball in hand. Blackadder made 20 tackles, but also conceded some pretty soft penalties. The All Blacks just didn't look that sharp in this game. What can I say? And Argentina played a heck of a game. So credit to them. They played really, really well. I will be so curious to see how well they can back up in game 2. Because the All Blacks tend to bounce back after a loss. And they're at Eden Park, which tends to be a much happier hunting ground than bloody Wellington. But, imagine if the Pumas could go 2-0. This has really set the cat among the pigeons. What do you guys reckon? Can you see the All Blacks making the kind of same errors they did in game 2, especially if they're put under the same kind of defensive pressure the Pumas put them under? And this one, can you see the Pumas maintaining that performance level for 2 weeks in a row? Because as I said, the last 2 times, I think when we had the first loss over in Australia, game 2 was a big All Blacks bounce back. And then when they beat us over here, game 2 was a big All Blacks bounce back. But you guys let us know your thoughts. And, subscribe to the channel if you haven't. I'd appreciate it. Talk to you guys again soon. See ya.